bribing people with debt forgiveness would make sense, given that we know the IMF has offered bribes to other nations to impose lockdowns and tighter controls, Belarus of course being a nation that rejected such an offer. I could imagine here in Ireland that by the first quarter of 2021, it's likely that most small to medium businesses on the high street and around the country will be completely shuttered permanently, which of course was the point of lockdowns and restrictions to begin with, to make them unworkable, to destroy all SMEs and force 99% of people into poverty and state dependence on welfare. The government will then transition from welfare to universal basic income, which essentially makes everyone in the country a kind of employee of the government. And then the government can determine whether you get paid or not based on your level of compliance with their authority. The universal basic income will likely be incorporated eventually into a cashless society. We'll be told cash has to be phased out in order to stop the spread of COVID. We're already starting to see more and more businesses no longer accepting cash. The globalists have wanted a cashless society for decades. That's not a secret. I've covered this story over the past couple of years. Apparently, COVID sticks to banknotes and coins, but not to things like bank cards, paper receipts, and newspapers. The fact that Joe Normie can't see this blatantly obvious agenda just goes to show that the public school system must be designed to reduce intelligence. With a cashless society, your bank account gets reduced to little more than a kind of PayPal account. Many of you probably know what it's like to get suspended on social media for posting something edgy or critical of the dominant mainstream narrative. Now apply the same kinds of super sensitive, politically biased terms of service and community guidelines of a major social network like Twitter or Facebook to your bank. Imagine your bank suspending you for several days because you said something they didn't like on social media or at a political protest, or because the social credit surveillance state detected that you broke the lockdown restrictions or didn't wear a face mask in public. They may even suspend you permanently. Whatever the reason might be, your funds could be suspended. Access to your money could be temporarily cut off for a few days in order to pressure you into compliance and prevent further dissent. So I'll continue with the article. Committee members asked who would become the owner of the forfeited properties and assets in that scenario, and what would happen to lenders or financial institutions. We were simply told the World Debt Reset Program will handle all of the details. Several committee members also questioned what would happen to individuals if they refused to participate in the World Debt Reset Program, or the Health Pass, or the vaccination schedule. And the answer we got was very troubling. Essentially, we were told it was our duty to make sure we came up with a plan to ensure that would never happen. We were told it was in the individual's best interest to participate. Wow, that sounds very ominous. When several committee members pushed relentlessly to get an answer, we were told that those who refused would first live under the lockdown restrictions indefinitely, and that over a short period of time, as more Canadians transitioned into the debt forgiveness program, the ones who refused to participate would be deemed a public safety risk and would be relocated into isolation facilities. Once in those facilities, they would be given two options: participate in the debt forgiveness program and be released, or stay indefinitely in the isolation facility under the classification of a serious public health risk and have their assets seized. Sound like concentration camps or gulags to me. As it currently stands, it is very unlikely, in my view, that the public would consent to a total loss of private property rights, unless, of course, the economic crash leads to staggering, devastating levels of global poverty and is coupled with the possible threat of starvation due to the breakdown in international supply chains. Many countries, including my own, can't really feed their populations without global supply chains. It is, however, inevitable that private property would be another major target of this agenda. After all, communists always want to take away private property rights. Remember that World Economic Forum article from 2016? Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. This article is in the category of Global Agenda and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and it basically gives a glimpse into what looks like a dystopian outcome of the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals plan. In this future, people don't own their homes. Everything they use, including right down to their kitchen utensils, are rented on a subscription model. They live in shared accommodation with strangers and make use of public transport and/or self-driving electric cars. They are unable to venture outside of the city limits to the countryside, as these areas are deemed off-limits to human beings in order to maintain biodiversity and the natural environment, etc. The cities are all smart and maintained with mass surveillance. No one has any real freedom. Their towns and cities are also in compliance with the green agenda, streets are pedestrianised, and traffic congestion is non-existent, just as the lockdowns were designed to achieve. As we know by now, COVID, of course, was a smokescreen for pushing this green agenda. Anyway, by crashing the economy, making it so that people are unable to work, unable to pay their bills, loans, mortgages, and may in fact lose their homes, desperation may set in. This, of course, is another Hegelian dialectic. Create a major economic problem, a major collapse, generate mass panic, and then offer an economic solution with onerous terms and conditions and caveats. You'll be permitted to keep the roof over your head and to eat food, so long as the roof over your head belongs to the globalist banksters, and so long as you accept life as cattle in a digitally connected farm where you have no bodily sovereignty, vaccinated, tracked, monitored, and controlled. Would people be willing to trade freedom and property rights for basic survival in a technocratic future? The destruction of all SMEs via lockdowns and unworkable social distancing policies has always been about eliminating the economic independence of the middle class and driving everyone down into poverty where they can be controlled. Also, by making those businesses unworkable, it massively drives down property prices, and then all of those buildings and units on the high street can be bought up for pennies on the dime. This has always been a massive wealth transfer. Only massive global corporations that are already on side with the New World Order will survive, and they will enjoy a significant monopoly, especially in an increasingly digital online age. The article continues. So, as you can imagine, after hearing all of this, it turned into quite the heated discussion and escalated beyond anything I've ever witnessed before. In the end, it was implied by the PMO that the whole agenda will move forward no matter who agrees with it or not. That it won't just be Canada, but in fact all nations will have similar roadmaps and agendas. That we need to take advantage of the situations before us to promote change on a grander scale for the betterment of everyone. The members who were opposed and ones who brought up key issues that would arise from such a thing were completely ignored. Our opinions and concerns were ignored. We were simply told to just do it. All I know is that I don't like it, and I think it's going to place Canadians into a dark future. Regardless as to the authenticity of the information here, we have predicted something similar to this over the past few months. We know how hellish and dystopian the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution could turn out to be. We're already living in a nightmarish New World Order as it is. No human contact, no love, no hugs, no hobbies, no handshakes, no leisure pursuits, no public gatherings, no family get-togethers, no parties, no pubs, no concerts, no spontaneity in life, no meaning, no joy, no smiles, no hope, no point. This is intolerable, and it's designed to be intolerable. As Justin Barrett pointed out in his speech, if there's someone in your life who keeps making you miserable, that might actually be their intent all along. But there is something you must consider. As dark as things may seem, I believe that we've been given a gift, those of us who can see at least. It's an ability to see the truth, and there has never been a greater privilege to be on the side of all that is good, righteous, and beautiful in this life, all that is meaningful. We get the opportunity to stand against the darkest, most powerful, insidious, satanic, and psychotic evil that humanity has ever faced. We should see this as an honor and a privilege, because the quality of life, and indeed human life itself, is under such attack. There has never been a better time to truly be alive in every sense of the word, because life and the value of truly living it to its fullest has never been more important, more precious, and more worthy of appreciation and protection. Most of humanity all over the world does not understand or realize that the very essence of being human is under attack. To truly be human is to be free to be exactly who and what we are, and to live as freely as we possibly can with each other, accepting all of the risks that come with being in the world and of the world. Those of us who see the truth have been called to defend this, no matter what the costs to ourselves, and no matter how difficult the challenge may be. There is no higher a responsibility and no cause more noble. The challenge is so tremendously great because it is so worthwhile.